For me, every design begins with a story, and the story of this collection is one that's especially dear to me. Christmas in our house growing up, we didn't have a lot, but we had a loving household. And one of the things we loved to do was we loved to cook together. Every Sunday we'd cook a really special meal. And then on the holidays, we'd really cook a lot of stuff. And we'd make a lot of sweets and a lot of cookies and a lot of cakes and pies and that sort of thing. My brother and I, we loved cooking along with Mom. Oftentimes we'd make cookies, and we liked decorating the cookies. Just a regular cookie just wasn't going to make it. Whether it was sugar cookies or peanut butter cookies or chocolate chip cookies, and we made actually gingerbread cake. And then we'd made gingerbread cookies too. It's a little bit different, and we'd stamp them out, we'd make them out of the gingerbread men, and then we'd make gingerbread stars and gingerbread hearts and different things like that. And every once in a while, I'll be in my kitchen and we'll be cooking something, and the smell of the combination of, maybe I'm roasting a ham and I'm making a pie or something, and that combination of smells will be just like Mom's kitchen smelled. And when I smell it, I can close my eyes, and it's almost like going back to being with my mother. And because of my love of those memories and all, I'm creating this line of that is inspired by gingerbread. Because gingerbread is one of those things that you look at and you know immediately what you're looking at. It's gingerbread, It's certain types of designs and certain types of decoration and that kind of stuff. It just lends itself so well to the general artwork that I do. So I'm gonna start in just a little while on the beginnings of creating one of the pieces that I'm gonna center this line around, and I'll give you a sneak preview of what my process is and the way I get started on these things. The first step for me to develop a new line is to start with a communication drawing. That's simply so the folks that I work with, the licensors and other folk that are part of our operation, know exactly what I'm thinking. Not every stroke is divinely inspired, but I know where I'm going with this thing, so I just make sure that I get there. I learned this from my grandmother, actually. She said, what a painting or a piece of artwork needs to do, it needs to lead you around. It needs to dictate to you what it wants to say, and you will understand that by the way your eye moves across the piece. And if it's a nice flow where you're leading from one element to the next and so forth, then it's correct. If it stops on something, then that element is probably wrong. And that element might be the nicest thing on the piece, but it doesn't belong there, And so I try to think in terms of that too when I'm creating these compositions. I'm constantly checking myself for that in that very way, by making sure that everything that is there belongs there. As I'm working and I immerse myself in my work, I will think back on something that, some simple thing that maybe Dad said or something that my grandmother showed me, and it sparks something in me. I've drawn this guy many, many, many times. When I'm in what I consider my zone, okay, that's when I'm most creative. In fact, I feel like I can't make a mistake. It takes over. Everything else goes away. And I'm right there, you know? And all it is just me and it. Yeah, when I start the color process, and that's probably one of the most important parts of the element, because that's what defines this stuff, you know, visually, okay? We start off with a sketch that ends up like this one, you know, I just finished, okay? There you go. That's sort of like the clean palette. I look forward to people involving themselves in my decision making. We have Gerald, Dominique, and Robin, and we have Crystal, Barbie. I'll hand it to Crystal. Sometimes she'll say, "Okay, I know what that needs to be." Boom, done. Then I look at it and say, "Hey, I agree, perfect." Some of the color work that Crystal and my team comes up with sometimes is shockingly good. Really, shockingly good. And I just love that part of the process. And you know, of course, I have a final say, and I might add a little something or something, but we're really good at what we do. And that always makes me happy.